Good morning. I hope everybody that listens is keeping well. Wanted to quickly read some of my notes. But first, I have to say I'm not a specialist in anything. I'm not trying to convince you or sell you anything. I hope you use your reasoning and your intuition and don't believe me, So I call this one power and the caste system. I think we are under a caste system. Certain classes are castes are privileged and others aren't. And in this system, there will never be equal accountability. Equality is something everybody's talking about, but this equality will never happen. Equal accountability never happen at all. If it happens, that's the end of the caste system. Yeah, the upper caste will always be protected, will always be superior, quote unquote, and they are not accountable. So equal accountability will never happen in this system. The system is also progressivist. Progressivism is this idea that tomorrow will always be better than today. And today, of course, is the pinnacle of human success. This, of course, is a lie. We know our ups and downs. It's not a constant up. Gaslighting is what the system uses on the masses to suggest that the regime is flawless. You know, reductionist. This system is reductionist. It wants to reduce the individual to the lowest possible. There's no critical thinking, there's no spirituality, there's no transcendence. You're not special. This is especially, hammered down by the indoctrination centers. Obviously, they want to turn everybody into a unit of production and consumer. They don't care about you at all. They want to turn you into an object. Lately, with the sanitary pass or whatever it was called, the individual was reduced to a positive or negative test. If you tested positive, your citizenship was temporarily disabled and you would be forced to lock yourself up. So, this creates the idea of who is essential and who isn't, right? Who is useless? Who's an useless eater? Who will be joining the sacrifice, camp? We all know that these tests are all bogus. Yeah. Along with the fluid test, they also, asked a bunch of questions, and those were the essential questions that they will decide if you were an essential worker or not. Yeah. So they decided, of course, in your age, your job, if you had any, health problems, if you were old, if you had some sort of physical deformity. I mean, they would. This was the criteria in which they will deduce if you were essential or not. Your appearance, your looks, you know. This is very, very reductionist. Now, materialist. They are very, very materialist. In their scientific method, only that which can be counted and measured exists. The rest is just woo woo. They basically cut off 99% of the world. They only care about what can be counted and measured. In their life, they are obsessed with objects and the acquisition of objects. Where does this obsession come from? Spiritual void. Spiritual void is filled with consumption. Consumption provided by corporatism that uses all sorts of ways to manipulate perceptions into people to buy things that they don't need. It's just a coping mechanism to fill the void. Um, they often lose interest in the objects that they acquire and they move to something else. Obsession over the looks, over the body. That seems to fade away every time they look in the mirror. This can lead to surgery addiction, radical diets, radical therapies, and treatments. They are also obsessed over money and obsessed over status. They are obsessed over numbers. Some people keep score in relationships. They even rate each other from 1 to 10. They see relationships as a monetary exchange, no spiritual dimension whatsoever. They also use binary logic. They see the world divided. They are unable to see relationship, the connection that holds the cosmos together. They can't see the nuances or the gray areas or have the intuition. Everything is reduced to the binary. This or that, left or right, red or blue, good or bad. This gives rise to the tyranny of moralism. In a binary logic, the us is always the good guys, the others are always the baddies. I mean, you can see this in action when there's a conflict or, I don't know, elections or whatever. They're always, talking about this binary. This is very lowering. This is how you lower people consciousness. So in this caste system, whatever happens to the others is ignored, overlooked, made fun of. It's a hard world, they say, or they had it coming, or simply what happens to others doesn't matter because they're not human and or they just don't exist. This is where the banality of evil manifests. Binary logic also gives birth to certain technologies like computers and AI. In the beginning, it was sold as being a way into making our lives better, but it seems it made it worse. People are being replaced little by little by these machines, and the ones who stay behind are overworked. These machines are just protecting the caste system. They are not thinking machines, you see. They are just crunching numbers, ones and zeros to be more precise. Again, they are obsessed with binary, they're obsessed with numbers. AI is nothing more than a predicting machine. It predicts your next move based on what it already perceived of you or in things that you already did. You see, they're just analyzing what you did already. It is the manifestation of the will of the people who created these machines. They are obsessed in predicting your behavior, predicting your next move, predicting your thoughts. They are obsessed in predicting your movements. Yeah, that's why they created the smartphone. They can feed you with propaganda and keep track of you all the time. They can feed you propaganda and keep track of you. Now, why are they obsessed with that? Well, there's been revolutions in the past, and whenever they roll the dice too much, the population sometimes would gather and, justice. They would make justice with their own hands. They are obsessed with that. You see, the forces of authority, police and etc., they exist to protect the system, not to protect you. You have to be very careful. It's a linear and sequential type of thinking. It rests only on memorization. It is a step by step cognitive process. In this process, spontaneity and creativity are not allowed. You can see this especially in the indoctrination centers. Anyone that is creative is pushed to the side, made fun of. I mean, you can see the system literally crushing their soul. They don't want people with spontaneity or creativity. Again, the indoctrination center is just to create another unit of production, another cog into the machine. I will talk after. Uh, uh, I will talk more deeply in this about the miseducation of people. So, where was I? Yes, it's a step by step process. This is the way they learn how to drive, for instance. Now they learn how to dance in a step by step. They draw in the floor little boxes and they go one, two, one, two, one, two, from box to box. That's how they learn things. No creativity or spontaneity in it. It's a mechanic type of thinking. It's like a machine. It's mechanic. Repetition is also something that is used ad nauseum in a caste system. For example, certain policies are announced like price controls. They announce it like it's the new thing that's going to save the economy, but price controls have been used for centuries. They've been used in Babylon, they've been used in Rome, and all the times they cause shortages, they cause corruption, they cause unseen side effects. It just doesn't work, it just causes more problems than it solves. But still, they repeat the same behavior over and over again. You might think it's random, it's stupid. No, they are doing it on purpose to protect the caste system. They want you to stay on your lane, they want you to stay in the box. They will use destruction and construction to keep you in the box. In fact, they prefer destruction. For instance, they will win money, they will make money, they will gain power with the construction of a country. But they will even make more with the destruction. And meanwhile, everybody else is in the between, making a line to get some soup, and while the establishment is getting rich. See, they get rich through destruction and they get rich through construction. Yeah, it's why we have this cycle of growing and destruction, growing and destruction, and that's how it is. Um, they repeat these behaviors and they expect different results. I think it's going to fix it this time. It doesn't. It doesn't fix anything. Everybody in this caste system is in a need to know basis. Everybody is in their compartmentalized, system. Everybody's a need to know basis. And then some people ask, how can this happen? This is so big that someone should have seen it and whistle and blow the whistle. This can't be a conspiracy. Someone would have said something. Well, no. Thousands of people can be working in a project, but if everything is a need to know basis and everything is compartmentalized, they have no idea the end product, what's going to be the end product. Yeah, that's how they do the schooling system. A lot of people who have a diunital logic system is going to be damaged by this. The ones who have a binary and dichotomous logic type of system, type of reasoning, they are fed step by step information in school, right? And at the end of the year, they might be able to see the big picture, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that they got it everything right every time, step by step. Some people who have a diutinatal logic system might, get to see finally the big picture at the end. What a student was very bad during all the year, at the end it may become the best student and they think he's cheating. No, he finally could put the puzzle pieces together and finally could see the big picture. And then at the end, it surprises everybody by by the result. And people think he cheated. No, he has a different cognitive process. Miseducation is very important for the caste system. These want to be, you could call them totalitarian, because it's always, totalitarian is always skulking in the shadows. And whenever they feel threatened, the caste system feels threatened, they will harsh the measures. And we call that totalitarianism. Yeah, they they want to have absolute control over the individual's body, mind, spirit. They want to have absolute control over their children as well. So the younger they get to them, the best. And to start what? The miseducation. Now, education is of the responsibility of the parents, not government. We have a system in the West that you know, encourages the youth to stay in school, from early as possible until their 20s, and then at their 20s they propose them to go to work. Well, most people in this system are not going to choose blue collar work jobs. You can see it since some decades now, since the 60s, since the 70s. There's a push for the youth to go to university and get their famous diplomas and whatever, their working permits. And none of those jobs is a blue collar job. So this also, the time that they spend getting a job, a career, and everything delays, childbirth and all that. So we have a crisis of demographics and we have a crisis of blue collar workers. That's why they opened the borders. It was to cope with this side effect because they want everybody in the indoctrination centers. They don't want parents teaching them values. They don't want parents teaching them, about legacy, yeah, culture. So they love to blur the lines, for instance, between gender. They love to banalize incest, homosexuality. That they want to banalize as well the unaliving of the indesirables. These are the most important pillars in a society: heritage, the difference between genders, unaliving people, for the sake of being an undesirable or not, and weird, practices among children, incest, homosexuality, and all that stuff. So, pedophilia. That is what destroys lineage, heritage. It traumatizes the youth, and it's what brings down a civilization. But they are always trying to banalize these things. Yeah. So anyway, all right. I think I'm gonna shut up now. Tell me what you guys think. Have a nice day.